Hi there. When I was in advertising and I used to travel on work to a new and interesting place, I always made sure I arrived a couple of days early. This was so that I could wander around and explore and take some photographs of the place and people. So it was my first trip to New York, and as usual, I was there ahead of time. I spent the day wandering through the city, checking out the usual sights, stopped to watch people in Times Square. I had a steak at Applebee. By the time it got dark, I was tired and sweaty and cold. And then it started to rain. I needed to get some cover, and I turned a corner, and the Waldorf Astoria appeared in front of me. I thought, wow, and walked up and looked at this window display of pictures of the famous people who had stayed there in the past. People like Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe and Grace Kelly. Then I turned and I saw a black stretch limousine pull up. And this tall doorman in a bowler hat and a grey coat with brass buttons opened the car door, and he held an umbrella for an attractive woman, probably a famous person in an expensive evening dress. She got out of the car and swept through the doorway, and just before she disappeared into the sprawling lobby, she turned slightly, and a few dollars went discreetly from her gloved hand into the doorman's gloved hand. Could have been a scene from a 1950s movie. For all you knew, she could have been there to meet a mafia boss named Frank Gambino. But I'm digressing. As I'm watching this, I can hear from a little distance from the entrance a clear, not too loud voice in a familiar accent going, umbrellas, umbrellas, $10, $10 umbrellas. There was this guy, was definitely from the subcontinent, India or Bangladesh, I thought. I couldn't be sure, but he was holding an open umbrella in one hand and a bunch of rolled up umbrellas in the other arm. I thought, clever guy making the most of a rainy day and well positioned as well to make a killing selling umbrellas to possibly the richest folks in New York City on a rainy day. And I saw two or three people actually pay $10 for those umbrellas. I thought to myself, I needed an umbrella, but I was certainly not going to pay $10 for one. I walked up to the guy anyway, and he's still going, $10, $10, umbrellas, umbrellas. And I said, like I hadn't heard him, hi, how much for an umbrella? He paused, and he looks at me, and I'm tired, jet lagged, and drenched. And I clearly don't look like a Waldorf Astoria customer. And he says, sir, for you, $2. I almost laughed out that he dropped the price by 80% for me. I paid him the $2, bought an umbrella, and continued on my way. For me, this story is about stereotypes. The umbrella seller looked at me and either decided I couldn't afford to pay $10 or decided I'm an Indian and would definitely bargain. Or maybe he just decided to give his fellow countryman a good deal. The doorman holding the umbrella for a woman getting off the limousine maybe assumed she was worth fawning over and might have expected a big tip, and rightly so, compared to, say, a plainly dressed man who got off an Uber. Back at work, we are constantly dealing with stereotypes. That young millennial who's joined as management trainee who's not trusted with anything important because she looks a little too young to be taken seriously. Then there are offensive nicknames that are given to people from other parts of the country because of the shape of their eyes or the color of their skin. This ignores who they really are and applies a false image of them, that Kim and Vijay are actually real people. Have you ever caught yourself jumping in, instantly to conclusions about a person based on their age, ethnicity, or sexual orientation? Have you taken a decision on hiring a person or promoting someone by considering anything beyond their performance and competence? Have you wondered if you would hire that gay executive for a client servicing job? Hey, we're a conservative company and all that. Do you assume that the colleague who's pregnant is now going to start flagging in her work and her workload is going to land on your desk? Our minds are busy creatures, so we are constantly looking for shortcuts to reduce the clutter. One way we do that is to make assumptions about people based on bits of data like color, gender, accent, and features. And then over time, we become prejudiced because we are relying on stereotypes and then deciding how to treat people. What if the roles were reversed? What if you were the only minority at work And through similar prejudices, you were robbed of the right to prove your merit. You'd probably miss out on all sorts of opportunities if people shunned you for your difference. Stereotyping is a habit that we learn through repetition. But if you recognize it, it can be unlearned through practice. There is more to you and everyone else around than meets the eye. In business as much as in life, we need to take off our blinders and appreciate diversity and uniqueness. Can you bring yourself to recognize your biases and start seeing the individual separate from the stereotypes? I'll see you soon.